She was on with her friend Kayla, the kind of woman who always had something half-insulting to say behind a fake laugh. I lingered just outside the doorway, and then I heard it. I've been wanting to tell you for a long time that I've been having an affair with his best friend. He's got a big Johnson. My breath caught in my throat. I stood there, frozen. I thought maybe I misheard. Maybe I was misinterpreting. But the venom in her next words ripped that hope out by the root. Kayla, in her usual shrill tone, laughed and said, "So you're going to dump that loser now?" And my wife, my partner of nearly 7 years, the woman who once cried happy tears reading vows we wrote together, just laughed. Not a nervous chuckle. Not regret. A laugh so cruel it echoed in my bones. "First, I'm going to take all the money out of this fool, and then I'm going to give him the maximum humiliation and throw him away like garbage." I didn't feel rage at first. No screaming. No smashing plates. I just stood there. Something in me cracked. Something essential. The trust? Gone. Love? Whatever pieces of it were left got flushed down the drain with those words. But I didn't confront her. No. I smiled. Walked right past her after she hung up the call. Kissed her on the forehead. Said I was heading to Home Depot. She smiled back. I sparkling. No clue I just heard the equivalent of a live confession to character assassination. That's when I made my decision. She wanted maximum humiliation? She wanted to take me for all I'm worth and toss me out like last week's trash? Fine. She didn't marry a fool. She married a man who knows how to build plans, systems, relationships. And if I can build things, I can dismantle them too. I didn't go to Home Depot that day. Instead, I parked in the lot behind a rundown diner and sat in silence. Just me, my truck, and the icy realization that everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie wrapped in a wedding ring. But I wasn't broken. Not yet. See, I've always been a planner. The kind of guy who labels toolboxes, color codes folders, backs up every important file to 2 external drives. It's not exciting, but it's why I've never had a late bill, why our mortgage was paid off in 6 years, and why my so-called fool of a husband had quietly accumulated a small fortune in investments and assets. She didn't know the half of it, and that was her first mistake. Her second? Underestimating what I'd do once I knew the truth. The first call I made was to Marcus, my oldest friend. Not the best friend she was screwing. The real one. We go back to middle school, and I'm godfather to his twins. I didn't tell him everything. Not yet. Just said I needed a favor. Need a good divorce attorney. Quiet, aggressive, and mean as hell. There was a pause on the line. Damn, man. It's her, isn't it? I didn't answer. Didn't have to. By that evening, I had a name. Lila Garrett. Divorce lawyer with a reputation so ruthless she made ex-wives cry in court. Perfect. I met with her the next morning. In a gray office with dark wood shelves and zero sympathy, I laid out everything. The speakerphone conversation, the affair with my best friend, her plan to bleed me dry and humiliate me. Lila didn't flinch. She just leaned back in her chair, laced her fingers, and said, "So you want to hit back?" I shook my head. No. I want her to think she's winning. And then I want her to lose everything. She smiled like a shark. I can work with that. Step 1. Lock down my assets. We froze every shared account, transferred personal holdings into a trust under my brother's name, and began the paperwork for a post-nup disguised as a financial restructure. I told my wife it was for future-proofing, in case I wanted to retire early and sell my shares in the company. She bought it, of course. She was too busy texting my best friend under the table and shopping for designer handbags with my so-called money to question anything. Meanwhile, I started playing the doting husband again. Made her breakfast. Bought her flowers. Took her out for dinner. She thought I was falling back in love. She didn't see the chessboard forming beneath her feet. And the best part? She bragged about it. Left her laptop open once when she went to shower. I glanced. Just enough to see the thread of messages between her and Kayla. He's being extra sweet lately. Probably suspects nothing. Poor thing thinks I still love him. The arrogance. The smugness. That's when I knew I wasn't just going to win. I was going to enjoy it. But revenge isn't just about punishment. It's about precision. I needed to gather proof. Evidence. Details. Not just of the affair, but of every lie, every stolen dollar, every betrayal dressed up as a kiss. His name was Jason Delaney. We met freshman year of college when we were both broke, hungry, and wearing socks with holes in them. I helped him pass calculus. He taught me how to fix a clutch. We built years of friendship on inside jokes, loyalty, and a code. Never touch another man's girl. Turns out, Jason must have lost the code somewhere between my wedding toast and my wife's bedroom. The affair wasn't just a betrayal, it was a mockery. Jason had been there for everything. The day I proposed, he filmed it. The bachelor party, he planned it. The delivery room when my father passed away and I needed someone to pick up my wife, that was Jason. All that time, he was just circling like a vulture, waiting for a weak moment. I couldn't wrap my head around it at first. Not until I rewatched the footage from the hidden camera in our living room. It recorded audio too, clean as a bell. I heard him laugh, low and smug, after she let him in through the back door. "He's got no idea," Jason said, his voice practically dripping with contempt. "Still thinks I'm his brother from another mother." She giggled. "Let him think that. I've got him wrapped so tight he's still talking about a beach vacation next spring." Vacation? I had just put a deposit down on a rental in Maui. A surprise for our anniversary. That was the night something changed in me. Whatever part of my heart had still been clinging to the past, the love, the memories, the idea that maybe, just maybe, this was a bad dream, finally died. Jason wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was making me the punchline of his private joke. So I did what any fool would do. I invited him over for a beer. The nerve it took him to show up? Astounding. He strolled in like nothing was wrong. Talked about the playoffs. Gave me that same old smirk like we were still best buds. I played along. I was polite. Hell, I even grilled steaks. "Man, you've really got the life," Jason said, biting into a ribeye I paid for, in a house I built. "Wife, money, no debt. You ever think you peaked?" He laughed when he said it. I just smiled. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. He left after 2 beers and a plate full of food. Probably went straight to her. Didn't matter. I already had the footage backed up on 3 separate drives. I was just laying groundwork now, digging under the foundation they thought was so stable. But the real twist? Jason didn't know I'd hired a private investigator the week before. And the guy I hired? Used to work for the FBI. Real ghost in the shadows type. In under 4 days, he gave me more intel on Jason than I'd learned in 15 years of friendship. Turns out, Jason wasn't just a dirtbag. He was deep in debt, gambling mostly. Owed 5 figures to people you don't stiff. Had a second phone registered under a fake name. And surprise, surprise, he'd been cheating on another friend's wife 6 months before he started with mine. A serial betrayer. Which made him predictable. All I had to do was wait. Set the trap. Let him walk straight into it with his ego leading the way. By the time they were planning their next secret rendezvous, I was already 3 steps ahead. That's the thing about betrayal. It makes you sharper. Clearer. You stop hoping. You start calculating. Every look. Every lie. Every late-night shower. I recorded it. Archived it. Labeled it. Jason and my wife weren't careful. They thought they were playing me. But while they were tangled in each other, I was stitching together a narrative, frame by frame. The setup began with a simple concept. Let them win. Let them think they were winning, anyway. I started working longer hours, on purpose. I wanted to give them more space. More opportunities. Why? Because it made them bold. Sloppy. They stopped meeting in hotels and started using my house when I was gone. The betrayal deepened, but so did their stupidity. She even started wearing perfume again. Not for me. I made a show of being too busy, too distracted. I let her think she was flying under the radar. Meanwhile, I was rewiring the security system, adding hidden cams in the bedroom smoke detector and the garage. But it wasn't just surveillance. I started baiting them. I planted fake bank statements in the desk drawer, statements that made it look like I had over $500,000 in liquid cash. She found them within days. I know, because she Googled, "Can I get half in a divorce if my name isn't on the account?" From the shared laptop. Left the browser open. Then I started talking about selling the house. Retiring early. Even floated the idea of moving abroad. She smiled and nodded like the thought of traveling the Amalfi Coast with me thrilled her, when in reality, I knew she was seeing dollar signs and imagining a different man in the passenger seat. Her lover. My ex-friend. I also made sure to mention in passing that I hadn't updated my will in years. That got her attention. She started cooking again. Dressing up for no reason. Sleeping closer. That was the moment I knew. The hook was set. All that was left was the pull. But I wasn't just going to expose her. No. That would be too easy. I wanted her cornered. No exits. No excuses. And Jason? I wanted him humiliated in a way only a man who once called me brother could truly feel. So I called in a favor from a friend in real estate. Told him I was looking to sell discreetly fast, under the radar. I didn't need to sell. I just wanted the paperwork in motion. Something she'd find if she snooped. Next, I opened a joint account in both our names and started transferring assets into it. Except it wasn't real money. It was a shadow account, linked to dummy transfers. I even printed out glossy statements and accidentally left them on the printer. She saw it. She always does when she thinks she's sneaking something. She believed she was closing in on the heist of a lifetime. Meanwhile, Jason was busy trying to look like a serious man. He started emailing realtors, probably thinking they'd need a love nest once I was out of the picture. He even tried to get pre-approved for a mortgage using doctored pay stubs. Spoiler, I intercepted the application. And then I started pulling strings. I scheduled a romantic getaway for the weekend, told my wife I booked us a spa retreat, full couples treatment, told her I wanted to rekindle things. Watch how her eyes darted down, thinking, calculating. Of course she agreed. But she had no idea I'd already set up two crucial things. A meeting with Lila, my lawyer, scheduled the moment we returned. A confrontation, set for the night before we left, with Jason, in public, and recorded. Because if this was going to end, it wasn't going to end with a bang. It was going to end with a revelation. Friday night. 2 days before the fake romantic getaway. I texted Jason around 6 p.m. Meet me at Mulligan's. Need to talk. Just us. He replied in seconds. Sure. You good? Not even a flicker of guilt in that message. That's what got me the most, how easy it was for him to pretend. To keep up the act. I almost respected the audacity. Almost. Mulligan's is a quiet pub near the edge of town. Darkwood booths, low lighting, cheap beer, Jason's kind of place. I picked the booth farthest from the bar and angled my phone just right so the mic would pick up everything. He walked in wearing the same fake swagger he always had. Gave me the old bro hug and slid into the booth across from me, completely unaware that this wasn't a reunion, it was a firing squad. So, he said, cracking open his beer. What's going on? I looked him dead in the eye. You tell me, Jason. He blinked, paused, smiled. Man, you okay? You look like you haven't slept. That's because I haven't. Not since I found out my best friend's been screwing my wife. There it was. The shift. His face didn't crumble, it froze. Like a glitch in a video game. His mouth opened slightly, no sound coming out. Just the faint buzz of the neon sign above our heads. What are you talking about? I leaned back. Calm. Cold. I've got audio, Jason. Video. Screenshots. GPS data. I know where. I know when. And I know how many times. He tried to play it off at first. This is insane. You've got it all wrong. Someone's messing with you. Someone is, I said. But it isn't them. It's you. He stared down into his drink like it might offer him an escape. Then the defense turned to offense. Look, man, it wasn't supposed to happen. One thing led to another. She said you weren't giving her what she needed. I didn't move. And you thought it was your job to give it to her? He had the nerve to look indignant. You don't get it, man. She's lonely. You're always working. Don't stand there in my house, eating my food, playing with my dog, and pretend like this was some noble charity act. You weren't filling a void. You were drilling into what you thought was yours to take. Silence. I slid a USB drive across the table. Here. That's your copy. Don't say I didn't give you something. It's all there. Every kiss, every text, every moan she made when she thought I was out of town. His hand trembled as he picked it up. What are you going to do? Oh, this? Nothing public. No screaming. No fists. That'd be too easy. But your boss? Your new girlfriend? The landlord that just approved your apartment application? They're all going to get a different kind of update. He blanched. You wouldn't. I already have. And Jason. I stood, towering over him. You should probably update your resume. You're going to need it. I left him there, white-knuckled and glassy-eyed, clutching a beer he'd suddenly lost the taste for. As I walked to my truck, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Not rage. Not sadness. Clarity. This wasn't about getting even anymore. This was about taking back my power, piece by piece, lie by lie. Jason was just the opening act. She was next. Saturday morning. Blue skies. Birds chirping. The kind of day built for smiling couples and Instagram captions about weekend bliss. My wife, let's call her Rachel, since calling her my wife feels like an insult to the word, came downstairs in yoga pants and a soft cardigan, her hair pulled back in a deliberately casual way that probably took 30 minutes and 2 mirrors to perfect. Ready for our weekend, babe? She asked with that practiced, post-affair cheerfulness. You've been working so hard lately. I thought we deserved this. Deserved. That word twisted like a knife. But I smiled. The smile I'd worn for weeks now. A perfect mask. Yeah, I said. We do. We packed light. She only brought 2 suitcases. Designer clothes, new perfume, and that overpriced silk robe she only wore on nights when she wanted something. Not for me, though. Not anymore. We drove 3 hours to a mountain resort I picked deliberately. Remote, elegant, and, most importantly, full of surveillance. It was one of those fancy reconnect and renew couple spas. And from the moment we stepped into that oversized suite with the firewood neatly stacked and the champagne chilling in a silver bucket, Rachel was in character. She played the role of doting partner to A.T., flirty glances, light touches, whispered promises under candlelight. I nodded, kissed her back, let her believe she was winning. Because while she was seducing me in the spa hot tub, the real show was happening miles away. Back home, a courier hand-delivered a manila envelope to Jason's fiancée. Yeah, turns out Mr. Best Friend had someone on the side too. Inside? Photos, text threads, hotel receipts, and a letter that simply read, "Ask him about Rachel. Jason's little house of lies?" Crumbling. Fast. But Rachel? Still clueless. That night, she climbed into bed wearing that robe, the one I now associated with betrayal. She cuddled close, pressed her head into my chest like old times. I held her, stared at the ceiling, counted down the hours. Because tomorrow was Sunday, and Sunday was war. At breakfast, she was glowing, still riding high on the idea that she had successfully seduced her way back into control. She smiled over her mimosa and said, "You've been different lately. I think this trip is exactly what we needed." "You're right," I said. "But before we check out, there's something I want to show you." I pulled out my phone, opened the photo album labeled Memories. She leaned in, expecting vacation shots. Maybe a picture of us kissing by the fireplace. Instead, the screen filled with a grainy black and white still. Her, topless, straddling Jason on our living room couch. She went pale. "Wah, what is that?" "Evidence," I said. I swiped to the next image. A time-stamped message thread between her and Jason. Another swipe. A video of her telling Kayla she was going to bleed me dry and toss me like garbage. By the 4th swipe, she wasn't speaking anymore. She just stared. Frozen. I locked the phone and set it down. "This isn't a confrontation, Rachel. It's a courtesy. You deserve to know what's coming." Her voice finally returned, brittle and shaking. "I don't understand. Why? Why didn't you say anything?" "Because I wanted you comfortable," I said. "I wanted you to believe you had me fooled. And I wanted you far from home when it all came undone." "What are you going to do to me?" I stood. "Nothing. I'm just going to take back everything. You can keep the robe, though. Might be useful at Jason's." She tried to follow me to the car. Begged. Pleaded. Swore it meant nothing. But it did. It meant everything. When we got back home, Rachel was quiet. Not the kind of quiet that follows a fight. No, this was the silence of a person who knows the ground beneath them is cracking and there's no rope coming down. She didn't even unpack. Just sat on the edge of the bed in her designer travel clothes like maybe if she stayed still long enough, time would reverse and the weekend wouldn't have happened. Meanwhile, I was already 3 moves ahead. See, betrayal doesn't happen in a vacuum. It festers in silence, feeds on enablers, people who nod, laugh, wink, and look the other way while your back is turned. And Rachel had plenty of those. Like Kayla, her partner in sin. You remember her, cheering her on during that speakerphone call, chuckling about my humiliation like it was the latest episode of a trashy soap opera. Well, Kayla just so happened to be gunning for a senior promotion at the firm where my cousin is VP of HR. I sent him a little note. Attached the full audio clip of her and Rachel, laughing about bleeding me dry. Told him I wasn't looking to ruin lives, but he might want to consider the company culture he was promoting. An hour later, I got a reply, "Consider it handled." Next up, Rachel's mom. Sweet, saintly Diane. Always so supportive. Always telling me how lucky I was to have her daughter. Always slipping Rachel money when she was stressed. Funny thing is, Diane also managed a joint account with Rachel that I hadn't touched, until now. Using full legal access, I pulled every transaction, every deposit, every transfer, including the monthly gifts that were really hush money for Rachel's little shopping sprees. I printed it all out, bound it, then mailed it, anonymously, to Diane's husband. A quiet man, Religious. The kind who doesn't take kindly to secret slush funds or daughters sleeping with married men. I don't know what happened behind their closed doors, but I do know the next time Rachel called her mother, the call went to voicemail. And then, there was Jason. Oh, Jason. Mr. Steal Your Wife. You remember that USB drive I gave him at the bar? Well, that wasn't just a warning. It was bait. He must have thought I didn't have the guts to do anything, that I'd cave like the nice guy I used to be. Instead, I made a few more calls. First, to a friend of mine at a small but loud gossip blog that eats stories like his for breakfast. I gave them everything anonymously. Photos, screenshots, timelines. The fact that he was engaged while cheating, that he was banging his best friend's wife in his best friend's house. They ran it under a catchy title. Local gym rat exposed for sleeping with best friend's wife while engaged, a soap opera in sweatpants. It didn't go viral, but it hit local, which was enough. His gym saw it. His landlord saw it. His fiancée saw it and dumped him. Publicly. I didn't have to lift a finger. The internet did the rest. Back at home, Rachel tried her best to play the remorse card. Sat me down. Said she wanted to rebuild trust. That she was willing to go to counseling. I nodded. Said all the right things. Let's take it slow. We'll figure it out. I let her believe there was still a chance. Meanwhile, my attorney was drafting papers behind the scenes. Financial records gathered. Trust restructured. Assets isolated. The house, my house, was already being transferred to a holding company.